my live stream. So we're gonna be talking about my story. I'm gonna be sharing my story, how I got fluent in Chinese using Immersion, and this story will be very practical for everybody. I'm gonna be taking a couple questions, and this will be a very short live stream. Let's get right into it. So my story with Chinese started at the university in Russia, and I wasn't really interested in learning Chinese. It was just my subject at the university. And I remember when I had some tests, I was copying my classmates' characters, and I didn't know what those characters meant. And I remember I felt very bad, and I was like, there will be a day when I learn this thing. I don't like to, cheat on the exam, but this was what I did. And at that time, I started dating a Chinese foreign student, Chinese girl, um, who's studying Russian at my university. And I started being more and more interested in China, in Chinese. I traveled to China a couple times, and I decided to start learning Chinese by myself using the same old textbook that we used at the university. And I remember, I remember I entered like the classroom of Russian teachers who were teaching Chinese, and I said, in 3 years I'm gonna be fluent. I'm gonna be more fluent than you. But it was like a joke. I was just kind of joking. It was like half joking. It was half a joke. They were like, "Oh my god!" Like it's like joking like this. I think I'm not sure whether they remember me or not, or whether they saw my videos or not. But this is actually what happened. And my story with Chinese started back in Russia. Like I said, when I made this decision that I actually decided that I want to study abroad. Some people get influenced by their friends, by their surroundings. One of my friends, one of my classmates from high school, he was he ended up in Shenzhen studying as a foreign student. And I looked at photos. I looked at another acquaintance that went to Shanghai, and I was kind of envying them. I was like, oh my god, I want to go there. I want to go to China. And at that time, I already kind of imagined how good China was, because I mean, I traveled there a couple times. And I decided to start learning Chinese by myself. This is practically self study was my style of kind of learning and mastering anything. And at that time, I didn't even think about teachers, classes, structured programs for myself. I wasn't really into that at the beginning. And during the very first year, my progress with learning Chinese was very slow. And I don't know why. And of course, I can just have some guesses why it was that way. But I was studying 1 to 2 hours a day. I was very consistent, and I was posting on my social media, writing characters. But there are a couple of reasons why. Because I had a Chinese girlfriend, I was asking everything. If I didn't know anything, I was like, "Oh well, I don't need a teacher. I don't need like any kind of immersion." So, and I was asking my girlfriend to check on my sentences and characters and pronunciation. And the months went by, and I really couldn't say anything. Like 3 months went by, 4 months, 5 months. And I could literally say, first day, I remember literally like first day, I I kind of met her. I wasn't learning Chinese, but then when I actually decided to learn, she was like a couple years after. And then I really couldn't say anything still. I wasn't learning for the whole period, but it's like before I actually went to Harbin as a foreign student. After 1 year of full studying Chinese by myself in Russia, I literally could say like 3 sentences, and like maybe a little bit more. But the craziest thing was that I still had some knowledge, and I still had some decent knowledge in terms of how to write characters, some fundamentals. And yeah, and basically, but after 1 year, it's insane to me right now, because I look at it, I'm like, what did I do? And now I know what I did wrong. So in this live stream, I want you to kind of realize the mistakes that I did. Well, first of all, I was really stubborn to invest in myself. I was at the, it was I kind of forgot how useful it was when I was studying English with the private English teacher. I kind of forgot how useful it was and why I actually started speaking English. It was literally because I had a few years of class with the teacher and studied a little bit in between and just self-studied after that. But when I was learning Chinese, I somehow thought that just by being in relationships and having a person helping me, would somehow help me to, start speaking the language. And I had kind of a lot of knowledge at the back of my head, and I theoretically finished maybe one textbook. The textbook was kind of thick, so it's kind of hard to measure in terms of the today's textbooks. Um, so basically, that's why yeah. So this is what happened, and I was studying. I was at the university in Russia. I was getting a scholarship, and I was dreaming about just studying abroad in China, and I didn't have a budget for just going there and studying for like 3 years. I couldn't imagine like I was just a kid practically. I didn't have a I was working in kind of science. I was publishing scientific papers, but I couldn't imagine myself like going abroad doing like a part time to sustain myself. It's like it was completely I didn't know what to do. And so I just did what I'm best at. I was kind of best at winning scholarships, grants, and um, these kind of things. And I went to foreign studies institution, or how it was called, I don't remember. And I said, "Do you guys have any programs, any exchange programs?" And they're like, "Yeah, we have this relationships with the Harbin Institute of Technology." I was like, Harbin. It's not Shenzhen, so I was okay. And I was like, I was still happy with that, but I was like a little bit disappointed. But so because in my mind, I was like, Shenzhen is like more developed, Harbin and looked at pictures like, okay. So, but yeah, I went, and they were like, okay, so give us you know, your score, like how you're doing on your tests and like the data like this, and you'll apply and we'll just see. And then I was actually top. I was practically a level student for 5 years when I was in Russia. So I've never had a B. I was one of the best students. I was publishing scientific papers in Scopus database on the topic of investors behavior. So I was a really good student, to the point that sometimes I would win scholarships that would be given for like to 7 people from the whole Russia, and I was one of those 7 people. So it's like I was really good student, so I was really competitive. But as it turned out, I actually got accepted to that exchange program. Not not even like the competition was actually lower than I thought. There are people who are like, yeah, they're decent, but they're not like exceptional. So yeah, I went to that. I got accepted, and this is how I went to Harvard. I keep mentioning in my all my stories that my parents didn't pay for my education abroad. Because you see people like, oh yeah, because I don't have money to study. I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? I never took money from my. I have 2 master's degrees and 1 bachelor degree. I have 3 degrees, 3 degrees, three, 3 degrees from 2 countries, and never ever I spent a dollar on any of those degrees, dollar of my money or money of my parents. I want scholarships. So, but I mean, there is nothing wrong with investing, like parents investing in their kids, but this is just not what it wasn't my case, right? So this is what I'm saying. People think that learning and master languages is like a lucrative thing that you have to be like rich or something. But yeah, it's you have to have something. Like you either some when I started doing my part time, I was just heavily investing in myself already. I knew that learning languages is never free. So you either win a scholarship, which is also not free because you studied for that, or you do part time, which did after and invested in the program for Korean. Chinese, I invested once when I was in China as a for additional semester. So yeah, I went to China, and this was actually what I realized what I did wrong for the whole time when I was in Russia. Very first thing that I did wrong was that I've somehow thought that writing characters would help me to learn Chinese faster. I was writing characters for most of the time when I was learning Chinese, which is completely wrong. So I would say right now I can say audio input, listening, pronouncing, shadowing, reading, especially working with a teacher and talking is the most important thing. And this is kind of immersion method that I'm going to be talking about when it comes to learning Chinese. Being isolated, learning by yourself, having a friend helping you, like I tried it, okay? I know that thing. It doesn't work. At least, even like those cases you see online when they say, I learned Chinese by myself, and then you see them sharing the story, and they're like, well, I had an immersion at my university. I have never been to China. but every single student on my program was Chinese, and I was just learning and speaking Chinese like for hours every single day. I'm like, okay, yeah, it doesn't really matter that you haven't been to China. So when it comes to actually, so I went to China. There are two things I realized. I realized the thing what I did wrong, and I had no audio input. I had no like environment when it came to speaking Chinese. I had no teachers, no guidance, and my textbooks were really bad. This was the thing that I realized. First thing. Second thing, I realized how fast I can actually start speaking Chinese. In 3 to 4 months, I was fully on in like conversations, speaking just like I would speak Russian. Like in my day-to-day conversations, I was fluent. Like 3 to 4 months, in day-to-day conversations, I was literally fluent. I was like, what the hell is that? I spent like 1 year, and then in the classroom, we wouldn't write as much. We would have just a dictation that would last like 10 minutes. You would prepare for it for like 30 minutes to an hour. Um, and then this was it. Like it wasn't like there were not any emphasis on like writing characters as I thought. And I was like, holy shit. Like, but I was actually placed in the intermediate group, funny, like low intermediate group, funny enough. um is like A, B, C group, D, E, and I was placed in C. So still my 1 hour of self-study wasn't wasted, but in terms of the skill, in terms of knowledge, I was okay. In terms of the skill, wasn't as good. So yeah, so this was my just very start of, and the reason why I became, by the way, here's the thing. You'll be like, why, like it doesn't sound really realistic. How could I become close to fluent in 4 months, after 4 months in China? Not close to fluent. I don't, to be honest, to be completely honest with you, I don't quite remember my level, but I can definitely say that I was really confident on the intermediate level, like speaking pretty freely. But fluency takes years. I always say that. It's like you should take it with a little bit of a portion of salt. I should be like completely open here, right? Real fluency takes years, of like of immersion, of exposure, of speaking the language. But I was let me put it this way. I was so good after 4 months, so it was almost like a limit of abilities. It's like I was as good as you could get in China, speaking Chinese after 4 months. And the reason why is because I was doing immersion in China. You'd be like, but yo, you were in China, you were doing. Well, I was doing Korean immersion in China too. After that, once I became fluent in Chinese, I learned Korean in China within the same period of 3 years studying there. And I used the same immersion method. Immersion method doesn't apply on to your location. It doesn't matter where you're located, by the way. So I was located in China, so I was using immersion method in China. Then I started learning Korean, and I was finding Korean people talking only Korean to Korean people. I was using immersion. Now I'm using kind of immersion method for learning Japanese. So the immersion method I'm talking about, don't think that it's location definitely helps. Don't get me wrong, but it does not define whether you can use it or not. So what was I doing uh, different from 90% of people there? 90% of foreigners. As soon as I came there, I realized that every single person is in a foreigner bubble. Just think about it. If you've never been to China as a foreign student, you think that you come to China, you speak Chinese, you think that it's easy like to learn Chinese there because you're in China. You don't even hear Chinese. You come here on day one, you will be surrounded with 100 foreign students. You'll be living with a foreign student in a dormitory or hotel, how it was in our case, but pretty much the same. Every single classmate you'll have will be a foreign student. Every single friend you'll have will be a foreign student. Mark my words, 90% of foreigners in China, they're complaining, and they're said that they never had a Chinese friend. I'm not even talking about dating. They have language exchange events every whatever, like Saturday was, where you would have like 1 hour chance to talk to a Chinese person from the same university. But I'm saying, listen, it doesn't matter if you're in China, like even if you go there for working, like as an English teacher or whatever, it doesn't mean that you'll be speaking Chinese or immersed in it, because everybody will be speaking. So everybody around me was a foreign, like, but on day one, I just approached the girl, man. I just approached the Chinese girl. Day one, boom, I just approached the girl, Chinese girl in Chinese. And this is like what I did, right? I always go out of my comfort zone. And I'm like, as soon as I see that I'm kind of restricted by something that I don't like, and I was just surrounded like by 5 Russians, and I couldn't do anything about it. because we are like doing documents and like and finding some places and stuff, and I couldn't do anything. I just boom, I just find the contact that I can just talk to, in Chinese, and go out and socialize. Day one. So imagine if I did that on day one, what do you think would happen on month four? What do you think happened? Fast forward 4 months, I was fully dating in Chinese. I had Chinese friends. I was socializing 24/7. Actually, like when I just came to China, I didn't have a girlfriend. So I would have like 4 dates on one day, and I would even forget it, like be late for like 40 minutes for one day. I would even like completely forget about it. So I was going hardcore, and it wasn't only about dating. On the next semester, I think I don't remember quite when it started, but I started doing like the I started going to dance studios at the university and outside of the university, and I'll start making friends. And the next thing you know is like I go to like two different dance studios for free, uh, and I just talk to Chinese people, talk Dunbeihua, like it's just crazy. And I started like everything I would do. So I would have a few hours of classes every morning. I would go out. Other foreigners would hang out with other foreigners. 90, I say 90%. No, it's not 90%. It's 99%, man. Nobody literally, and the reason why people don't get fluent in Chinese in China, not because they had like knowledge, it's because they like a social skill, or they like a brain to actually go realize that they're wasting time. Because Koreans are always with Koreans, Chinese are always with Chinese people, Russians always with Russian. Funny enough, that's what I used, because when I was learning Korean, Koreans were always with Koreans. So when I started interacting with Korean people, I was already kind of within like in a small Korea town, like in China, and like in a small Korea world. And when I came to Korea, first day I started taking job interviews. They're like, "How did you learn Korean?" I was like, "In China." I was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, there are like a lot of foreign students." So what I'm trying to say is that immersion does not happen if you just visit a country, or if you just go there and you just study there. People say, "Oh, you studied in China, that's why." No, it's not like that. It's much harder than you think. People who have an experience, they can share a lot of stuff. 70% of foreigners living in Korea don't speak Korean. This is a statistics. You can Google it. 70% of foreigners living in Korea don't speak Korean. If it's so easy, why don't most foreigners living in Korea speak Korean? They're here. They supposedly should be immersed, right? So why doesn't it happen? So I started dating. I started making friends. All my best friends right now, like are like from that time. I had just a few Russian friends, but most were Chinese or Korean people. And then I became fluent in Chinese, kind of lost my interest a little bit, and then I started learning Korean, and then I switched to Chinese again, took a semester. So what happened? So basically, what happened when I went to China is on day one, I started interacting with Chinese people, proactively going out and socialize with them. And this was the thing that 99% of people didn't do. On top of that, I was having classes in learning Chinese in Chinese, and I was having classes with the best textbooks and with the best teachers. Back then, when I was having classes like this, now it all changed. The system that I went through, the university is like program, it disappeared, because at least at the place when I was at, because now it's like huge groups, not very good quality. So I wouldn't recommend the place where I went to. But the only thing I can say is that replicating this thing is the best. So what is the actual formula of immersion? The formula of immersion, because all of you guys, I guess, are practically here to not to hear my story, but to actually extract something useful that you can use by yourself, right? For yourself. So let's talk about it. I mean, I spent in China 3 years in China, and I learned Chinese and Korean doing the same thing that I'm sharing with you now, right? So what was the thing? What was the thing that I did wrong in Russia? First thing is I started having Chinese classes only in Chinese. That is the first thing. Chinese classes only in Chinese. No English, no Russian, no other language. Second thing, I started using the best textbooks, updated textbooks that would actually contain the real life language, so real life, so that I would go out on the same day I would hear people speaking it. It's Koyu, especially Koyu. speaking Chinese, spoken Chinese textbook from Beijing University Press. That's the example, right? I would have multiple subjects with different teachers, and I would have this immersion time. Then here, it's the first part. It's the first. You guys get it? Teachers only teaching Chinese in Chinese. Textbooks. That's what everybody had. The foreigners. Like that's the basis, just the basis. If you don't have that, you're already kind of like it's you're already kind of slowed down. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is after the class, this was my slight edge and competitive advantage. I would go out and I would socialize like crazy. I call it social learning. So I would socialize in two directions: dating and friendships. These are the two things that I would do, right? On top of that, of course, you go to restaurants or like shops and stores, but people more get like it's you wouldn't have like a long conversations there, right? So I wouldn't call it like socializing. This is like a small part of the environment. That's why people who studied in China, most of them, they only can buy things in Chinese as a result of them studying in China, but they can't really like sustain a fluent conversation for an hour about like random topic, right? So that's basically the reality of it. And yeah, so I participated in Chinese speaking competitions. I saw brilliant people. I saw very smart people. But it's like literally the percentage is like I would say it's less than 1% of foreign students actually become really, really, really good in speaking Chinese after 1 year or 2 years or 3 years. After 1 year, like almost impossible. But it's like after this period of time, they become like fluent. That's an actual period of time doesn't even matter. What matters is how much you immerse, right? So immersion happened when I would go out on a date and I would try to speak only Chinese without really being able to. So every single word, every single grammar that was back in the day just at the back of my head, somewhere very deep in my brain, I would just pull it out as much as I could. You know what is fluency actually? What is fluency? Fluency is the speed of retrieval. So basically, when you say fluent, is when you can speak so fast, so it's like your mother tongue, and you can also use different variations of grammar points of vocabulary. But fluency, one of the things that actually build the definition of fluency is based on one of the things which is related to the speed of retrieval. And the speed of retrieval is how fast you take the word or the grammar point out of your brain and put it into the sentence. That's the kind of the speed. It's like a flow, right? So at the beginning, it's really slow, and I didn't have enough knowledge. But then after a while, I was so confident that it's like my classmates still didn't know it, but I was really, really confident. It's like till I started in September, and in December I was just really like speaking for like hours and hours and hours and hours every single day. It was crazy. So I used the same immersion method for Korean, and I knew that once I discovered that method, I knew that I had to do two things. I had to have classes in learning Korean in Korean, not in Chinese, not in English. I started in Chinese. It was okay, but it wasn't immersion. And socialize. So socializing was easier for me because there are a lot of Korean students. But for immersion in Korean, I had to already invest my own money. So I had a part time. I invested money from working for 1 year to come into Korea for 5 weeks and study at Yonsei University. And this is the immersion method I applied there. There were classes, and again, I found myself in the same situation. When people were like, most foreigners are like Americans, actually, most of the students were Americans. They were just hanging out with each other, and I would go out and socialize only with Korean people. And the same thing happened. I became fluent in Korean. So basically, there are two layers that you need to understand. The first layer is classes for learning. In this case, we're talking about Chinese. It actually works for any language. Doesn't matter language you're learning. Again, classes in a native language, in the language that you're learning, because your brain switches. Even if you don't understand at the beginning, your brain slowly but surely switches to thinking in that language. That's the first thing. Second thing is social learning, which can be done offline and online. I have a video on that on YouTube. You know, Funny enough, most educational videos have no views, as always, because people just want to have fun. They don't want to learn mostly. But those outliers who actually take time and learn, they get the rewards that they deserve. To get what you want, you need to deserve what you want. The world is not yet a crazy enough place to reward a whole bunch of undeserving people. Charlie Munger. So if you want to get fluent in Chinese, you need to deserve it. It's not easy, but you need to deserve it. Same for Korean, same for multiple languages. And you need to invest time, you need to invest money, or you need to invest either your money or your parents' money or scholarships money. I never learned for free any language. But you need to create an immersion. You can do it in your own country. How can you do it in the US, for example? If you're in the US, how can you do it? First of all, you start having Chinese classes in Chinese, only in Chinese. It's better be multiple subjects with multiple textbooks, only in Chinese from day one. Little English, maybe 1%, right? So that's the first thing. Second thing is once you're finished with those classes that you have, I mean, after you finish classes on day-to-day basis, you go out and you socialize with Chinese people. Tell me you cannot find Chinese people in New York. There may be more Chinese people in New York than in Beijing. I'm it's kind of sarcasm, but I mean you get what I mean, right? There are a lot of Chinese people everywhere. If you cannot find Chinese people, I think it's your problem, really. So, but I live in Oklahoma, like somewhere like where no bridges. Okay, find them online or travel or change your situation so that you can find them easily, right? So basically that's the thing that you need to do. And don't speak English. Don't speak English. Speak only Chinese. This is what I did. You know what people do actually? Unfortunately, some people they go to China and they start dating somebody like some Chinese person, but they start speaking English to them. So basically, and same happens with Korean learners. And I'm like, okay, good luck. But it's like your language. I mean, it's not that you're dating a person to learn a language, but my attitude is always like, I when I approach a person I see and I want to talk to, I have so much confidence. My confidence level is so much higher than my language level that I just I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like fluent beyond your imagination. I would never switch to English. Never. Even with like limited vocabulary, limited, like my confidence. I always try to be overconfident at the beginning of learning a language. Always try to be overconfident. And it's just, it's like a self fulfilling prophecy fake it till you make it. At the very beginning, you need to be very confident. Just be confident and go out and speak on it. They speak English, you ignore it, right? So that's my thing. I have a lot of principles on social learning. I teach it on my program. By the way, all those things that I've just mentioned, immersion method, classes, Chinese class only with Chinese, multiple subjects, multiple textbooks, proven system, social learning, all that thing is my program, which is called Chinese immersion. You can click the link. You can apply. We have only one spot left, by the way. We have 4 people out of five group people, 5 people in the group. 4 people already enrolled. We have one spot. If you want, you can enroll. If you can't, if we already feel we can, maybe we'll add it to waiting list. If you're intermediate, if you're a beginner, I'm talking about beginner group now that we're starting this Sunday. But if you're intermediate, we have maybe a little bit. We maybe can put you somewhere depending on your level. You apply using the same link. But the thing is, I replicated the program which actually I went through. Every single textbook that people study on my program, be it Korean or Chinese, every single or Japanese, every single textbook I finished myself. There is no resource except for my AI app. There is no resource because when I was learning languages, there were no AI. There is no resource I recommend on this channel or in my program that I myself didn't go through and get to the level that I wanted to get. No resource. You see fucking clowns recommending some bullshit app that they never used themselves, that they never created, but they got paid for it just to promote it. You see those clowns advertising it on the channel. Oh, I learned through conversations. Did you use it? What are you talking about? Yeah, it's just money, man. You just get. But listen, guess what? I'm running my own thing. I'm running my own program, and I created it with this. Here's the craziest thing: same teachers that taught me, I have it in my program now for learning Chinese. Same teachers, same person. Join, ask for Yang Lao Shi. Yang Lao Shi. Ask for teacher Yang. He was my very first teacher in China. He's the best teacher in the world. Textbook, Hanyu Jiaocheng. Textbook I went through myself when I was learning Chinese in China. Social learning, I teach my things that, especially people who ask, we have like a weekly call. I teach my social learning program. Some people in my Korean program got married from what I taught. I was pushing a guy from to use Hello Talk, and he kind of was hesitating for a couple months, and then he was like, "Okay, Victor, thank you so much. we're gonna get married from this." And I was like, I don't know, man. Like my program is what, like a dating thing or what? Like I don't know how many benefits can it bring. So it's crazy. People who actually apply, right? The success is never guaranteed. It's the method is kind of guaranteed. The method that actually works, right? So click the link below, guys. Go to the website, see some testimonials. I mean, what kind of testimonial do you want me to give? The guy who's working with me on this app, David, he is my Chinese coaching client. He never knew me before he enrolled in my program. He enrolled in my program in spring to 2022 ish, three. I don't remember which year, but yeah, it's like a couple years ago. And he loved it so much, so he was like, let's develop an app together, right? So what kind of more proof do you need? So yeah, so basically that's my method to learning it. You can replicate it by yourself. What I just said, don't join my program if there is no spot left for this particular semester of multiple semesters. Try to replicate it for the next few months. Try to replicate it, but you need to enroll into classes, Chinese classes in Chinese. Don't bullshit yourself with cheap italki classes from people who have no qualification and who will be speaking English to you. Don't bullshit yourself like this. All right, so I will be taking a couple questions, but just two takeaways from all of you is: first thing, learn the target language in the target language from day one. This is the first thing. Second thing, once you do that, once this stage is kind of done, like once you kind of figured out like what classes you should take, what textbook you should use, but you're taking the class in the target language, using the target language. By the way, I recommend to learn 1 to 2 hours a day in total, classes plus homework. That's the first thing. Second thing is do social learning. I don't have enough time. For me, to be honest, it's just 10:35. I have to go to sleep now. But you can check out my video on social learning. There's online and offline. There are apps like Hello Talk and different other apps that people recommend. There is a bunch of things that you can do. Check out RSD, Real Social Dynamics, Owen Cook. Check out all those things. How to just how to socialize, basically, right? Not in just in it's not about like the language. It's just about how to actually just socialize. So that's the thing that I recommend. On top of that, now these days I recommend my app to practice the language. It's kind of a part of social learning, but it's like a part of the overall system. So, all right, let me take a couple questions. And by the way, somebody asked, what is immersion and why is it called immersion? It's called immersion because you when you learn the language, you hear and you hear this language only when you learn the language. You also try to speak the language when you're not ready, right? During the first couple months. And once you're like on top of taking classes, stage number two is you go out and socialize using just a few words, and you try to connect those few words into some sentences, and you're like a caveman. And so why is it immersion? What is difference between immersion, not immersion? Not immersion is when you use too much English when learning, and when you don't have this uh like in at least our official environment. Even in your own country, you can create this environment of like speaking Chinese with Chinese people every single day. So that's the thing that I'm talking about, as opposed to just learning how I was learning in a closed room in Russia, just writing, just using the textbook, asking questions about the language, not in the target language but in my own language, speaking mostly my own language. So that's what it's called, not immersion, right? So this is what most people have, not immersion. Even when people come go to China, they have classes, Chinese classes in Chinese. I still wouldn't call it immersion because they don't do anything on top of that. This is why I'm saying social learning is the key. So okay, I will take a couple questions. So somebody said, I know people hate me for, like, there is a YouTuber I saw, I really kind of admire. I think she's speaking language really well, and she had this video where she said, I spent that much money on learning languages, and then after a couple days I noticed that the video was deleted, and I tried to find it because I really related to that, and I think just because she got a lot of hate for that, maybe, because people just don't like hearing this name. I don't fucking give a fuck what people like to hear, man. I'm just saying what I did. I went through 3 paid semesters for learning Chinese. This is how I became fluent. I don't give a shit what people think. 2 semesters I had a scholarship for. 1 semester I invested my own money. I invested thousands of dollars into learning Korean. And people tell me that, oh, I learned for free. Dude, good luck. What are you talking about? I was a polyglot when I was 26 years old. You tell me you learn for free? You will be learning for 10 years. People will be taking classes, they'll be using my method, they'll be running circles around you. Your self learning is too slow. Don't tell me you're going to be slow self learning. Don't waste my time, man. And somebody says, best way to learn Chinese and Korean, I learning with free apps, zero money. Why do you say zero money? Do you have zero money or zero time? Because you cannot have zero money. If you have time, you can do part-time job. Do you think I was born in a rich family? I was just working, getting paid $10 an hour, or however was that, like 15. I took all my money, invested in myself. You tell me you don't have time, Julian Acosta Bellucci? What are you talking about, man? You cannot work? You're physically disabled or what? Don't even tell me this thing. I'm very harsh on that. You can't learn by yourself. Whatever bullshit everybody tells you, even with my own app, you can learn with my app. You can practice, but it's not all in one solution. It's a boost of what you do. You can't learn by yourself. 26. I'm more than 30, man. I was 26 quite a few years ago. I don't agree with that. Nicole Trascalier. I don't agree. I think learning, if you do a correct system, it's exponential. So at the very beginning, so you said also not get frustrated when the learning curve starts to get tougher and tougher. No, learning becomes easier and easier. Everybody who knows how to learn a foreign language, who learned foreign language, they all know that learning becomes fun because you start learning by talking to people. Is it hard you learn new words and grammar by talking to people? Have you ever had to deal with burnout? I just had it today. I had 3 hours of learning languages today, 2 hours for Chinese, 1 hour for Japanese. I had a burnout today. I'm like, what the hell am I doing? I don't even feel like learning now. I have very negative thoughts, but guess what? Next day, boom, you're refreshed. Can I use it via website or desktop? I'm using Android, and you app for can support Android. Just enroll to my program and click the link down below. It's the best program for learning Chinese on the planet. We have different teachers with different subjects and different textbooks, and you learn Chinese in Chinese. You get tens of hours of my recordings, all my courses, and you can do it for anywhere in the world. That's the best. Or you can enroll, you can see what we do and just find a similar program. I don't care. There is no similar program. Or go to China directly. That's the alternative you can do. But that's really the best thing. Like you can do. By the way, all my clients, I tell them you should do everything. They're like, Victor, should I take your program or some other? Or after your program, want to go to China? I'm like, do all of that. That David guy who developed the app with me, he took my program, 2 of my programs, 2 semesters, went to Taiwan. It was piece of shit, and then he went to Harbin, place where I studied. That's the level of action I'm not saying some people got fluent literally after my program without going to China. Couple people, Corey from France, David from New York, another David. I saw people getting fluent without even visiting the country. It's kind of nuts, but I'm so passionate about it. I know that I'm very unapologetic. That's why people have like a lot of hate, but I don't really care, to be honest, because I don't have to say what I don't think. There is nothing that I say that I don't think. Nothing. I cannot say that, oh, this app sponsored me, so you guys have to use this app. There is no app sponsoring me. There is no Patreon. There is no, hey, support my channel. Didn't you notice that? But people are like, why do you like promote yourself? Well, because I believe in that. Because I'm a self-paid for it. That's why I believe that. I recreated and 10x'd it. Now my program is better than the university I was in. Because the university I was in, why is it better? Because there are 30 people in one group. If you go to the university I was in, be like, Victor, can I just go to the source? Go to the source. Go to HIT, Harbin Institute of Technology. There are 30 people in one group. One teacher teaching all the subjects without really caring too much. But when I was there are different teachers for different subjects. There are small groups. And my groups right now, with which the program I'm running, there are 5 people in the group. You can't replicate that. We also have one-on-ones too, like people who want to enroll. Well, we have one-on-ones we offer. Actually, a lot of people learning with me right now, they're on one-on-ones because we have like time differences. But they just got lucky. We're not going to be having that. We're going to be having 5 people groups. I will not provide one-on-ones anymore. So when I was starting out, guys, just to let you know, just to be completely open, do you know when I was starting out 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, I started coaching. It was just me. I was coaching for years, and then I started working with teachers. Now I'm still coaching Korean, by the way, on some of the groups, not on all of them, but some of the groups. And I will stop coaching Korean too, because I have like tens of hours of recordings, and I have teachers now that I trained on how to teach. And Chinese teachers, by the way, they're so good. It's like it's the best. And you also get my interactive lessons that you can also learn Chinese and English. At the beginning, it's really hard. So of course you can't like complete, but it's interactive less like a pre-recorded stuff, video. The actual live lessons, which happen on VOV app, it's not Zoom, not Google Meet, VOV. It's a Chinese Tencent app because it works great. And so these are actually Chinese classes that people have with the only using Chinese. That's how it looks like. I'm going to be posting on my social media how those classes look like. Um, but to give you a quick look, I have a couple recordings here.
好，第一个Dennis，你要喝咖啡吗？我不想喝咖啡，我要喝
You see, there is a screen where they have a textbook. Yeah, we have a few people. Everybody reads. Everybody speaks. Everything is in Chinese, and you have it every week. So we have we have a different class with different subjects, different textbooks. That's the best thing because you study the same thing from different angles, and you go out and apply it. So, guys, I'm going to be having a couple questions here, but it's quite late. I have to go, and but use it. I mean, use it. If you can't enroll now, just replicate it. That's the most important thing. I admire your straightforwardness. If you're actually dedicated and you have no excuse to complain about your circumstances, you can always be more resourceful if you're dedicated enough. Yeah, I mean, it's just that like back in the day, I didn't know why. I remember I was thinking about getting one-on-one teacher for learning Chinese back in Russia. We heard the price. I was like, oh, it's so expensive. I was so stupid. I was so stupid. It's crazy. I was in my early 20s because I didn't have anybody to teach me that. I wasn't like, well, what do you spend money on? Well, what do you spend time on? Well, I mean, what do you do? Really, what do you do? What do you do? You work, where do you spend money on? Rent, food, what else? If you buy a new TV and you don't have a time for learning money on learning Chinese, just give me a break, man. Like, what do you actually do? Like, do invest in yourself, man. Like, invest in yourself. Like invest in yourself. That's such a basic thing from 2014 that is like it's crazy. Like people don't invest in themselves. They're like, but I just it's okay if you don't have money, which I didn't have too at some point. I was started investing in programs when I was in inexpensive programs when I was 20. I have a 20-year-old on my program. He bought the full program at once. He didn't even care. I was like, "What are you doing, bro? You're so young, and how do you have money?" He's like, "I worked at the job." His name is Felix, by the way, in my video on my Korean coaching program. You can see like all a couple of my last videos, and he just invested. And I was like, he's from Sweden, and he's like, he lives in Norway, and he worked. He happened to be working full time, just like a 25-year-old, a 26-year-old, and having the budget. Some people have it when being younger. Some people don't have it when being older. But the most important thing is the attitude. It doesn't matter whether you take my program or you go directly to China or you do both. I don't care. But the attitude is the most important thing. If you think that going to be learning for free, you wasting 5 years on ineffective stuff is the time that you could be paid for when you work somewhere. So your time is already money. So if you waste time by learning how to swim by yourself instead of going to some swimming class, then it means that you're wasting additional hours of your time that you could potentially get investment on. I have 2 degrees in economics, 1 degree in finance, so I know what I'm talking about. If you get just calculate how much you get paid for an hour and how fast you can learn if you're in some program and if you're learning by yourself, and calculate the number of wasted hours. There are people, yeah, they're saying that they learn the language only by themselves without taking any classes. I took an intro. I'm very open to posit, 知己知彼，百战不殆. Know your enemy, know yourself. You'll battle 100 times and you'll never lose. 孔子兵法. It's Kongzi, the art of war. The art of war. Know yourself, know your enemy. I know another point of view. There is Matt versus Japan, the interview on my channel. He only self-studied Japanese, but he's only been doing that for 5 years, every single day, for 8 hours a day. How many hours? Do you have that much time? Are you in high school? And you have that much time every single day your parents support you can just only learn, and you can like learn like watch 5 hours of animes every day, then good luck. Don't even listen to my advice. Use the it's called input method, right? But if you're from the side of, oh, I kind of work, but I have a little bit of time and I want to just create a habit of learning, when then listen to my advice. I Or listen to people, go to good channels and just don't listen to what they say, listen to their story, and you'll see all those greatest people that speak good Chinese now that I know, not your like loud dude with the most followers, right? Just the actual true I'm not talking about fake freaking polyglots. Don't even get me started on that. I'm talking about real people who are actually native fluent in Chinese, and they say that they studied by themselves or like without leaving their country. The guy from England, well, they're like at the university doing full immersions in Chinese, only talking to Chinese people, dating Chinese girls. What I'm saying is proven by them too. So I'm just saying it from my perspective, right? And so that's the thing. And please apply for every language you're learning. I have a client on my program. She Hannah from Germany, and she is learning Spanish using what I recommended: the textbooks, the teacher, everything. So if you come to my program, you say, "I learned this language, I want to learn another." The same thing works. We're running right now. Actually, we have in-house teachers for basically teachers that we like. I have, right. I'm working with Korean, Chinese, Japanese, Spanish, Russian. Korean, Chinese, Japanese, Spanish, Russian. Yeah, 5 languages. As for now, can I ask you about the sign up process? When I look at it, takes you straight through the booking a call without talking about prices. Is this for consultation? So yeah, I don't list prices of my coaching programs because there are different packages, different plans, and but it's the price is it's kind of a one price. We slowly increase it with the time as time goes by, but I don't list it because you don't there is no like very detailed description. So you go through A 30-minute call if you're very serious about it. There is no pressure. Right now, Brianna is kind of the head of the team for doing that. So you can just hop on the call and you can just see what like the description of the program that they give you. And if it works for you, it works for you. If it doesn't, I have like a lot of people coming in anyway, right? So I don't. I'm doing this live stream to tell you that I have one spot left, but this is it. This is just my last reminder. I'm not going to be like, I send one email, one live stream, one reminder on Instagram. That's it. We have a group going. And the reason why it's not because I want to like do throw my marketing trick on you, like to do false scarcity. Do you think it's false scarcity? Who thinks it's false scarcity? I'm saying this one spot left. Even if there is like 10 spots left, the reason why you can't join is because the group is already 2 weeks away. Now it's 1 week already. So it will be like 2 to 3 weeks away when you join. So they'll already be on page 30. When you join, you will not understand anything, right? So this is why you can't join once it starts. It's not because I do a false scarcity on you. So it's like, oh, you can't join. Oh, in 1 hour. Oh, deadline end. No, dude. Like I'm too I'm grown up man. I'm not doing that shit. You know the first rule of the actual marketing. The first rule of actual marketing is that you believe in what you sell, and every single deadline you do is true, and it's defined by real laws. So think about the real laws when you join the group. Why is it 5 people? It's because I have agreement with the teacher that it will be 5 people, because they know that the efficiency goes down dramatically. It just becomes a shit show. The next thing, the next reason is because when you join after 2 weeks, when I open the group, it depends on your level. Sometimes it matches. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes I put the person in the group which already started 1 month ago, but they could be an HSK2 and the group just matches the HSK2 level. That's why I'm throwing them in. So that's why I tell you, go hop on the call. And sometimes we have no slots even in the call. Sometimes people still like send me emails saying, "Hey, Victor, there is no slots in the call." Sometimes people have problems with like registrations and stuff. So our system is not perfect in terms of like how like emails you get and notifications. Please give me some understanding for that. I'm not having like 100 people team. I'm managing all my I'm managing all schedules of all of my clients personally. I don't have an assistant doing that as for now. So yeah, I'm doing every single onboarding by myself. Every single person who enrolls to my program, they go through one-on-one onboarding with me, and they see me every single week. It's not that I outsource you guys to somewhere. I see you every single week, and I teach Korean too, also. So, and you get my teachings for Chinese as well, but you get them recorded. But you can ask me any question every week if you show up. And yeah, I understand the question about prices. People are a little bit like, oh my god, if it's too expensive, what is that telling me? No, just hop on the call. We have different options too. We have like pre-recorded. Some people can't afford the full program, so we say we have a pre-recorded version of the program. It's like a part of it. It's not immersion, but it's like a 12-week digital course, right? So there are like different options you can go through. And you can also, some people enrolled through my video after watching my video courses, accelerator video course, 17 steps. I have a Russian guy enrolled into my Korean program. He watched my recordings. He liked it. Some people have been following me for a few years. Some people joined my programs before they re-enrolled again. A lot of people, they ask me like when they finished the program like 2 years ago, they're like in re-enrolled. I don't even remember them, but they're like, oh, I was in your program. So yeah, it's I've been doing it for quite a few years now, so that I have a lot of people who already know about me. There is a Reddit hate page. Some clown hopped on a call with my team with me and said, "Oh," but then the whole Reddit page turned into like positive testimonials about me, about my program. So that's kind of funny. I should have more haters, I think, but I don't know why I don't have enough haters. If you don't have enough haters, you don't have enough success. Like you don't have enough. You know. Uh, like not many people still know about you if you don't have enough haters. But yeah, it's but still healthy. I have healthy ratio of haters. um hey Victor, do I think I should learn kanji radicals for kanji? You say, I don't know what's kanji radicals for Japanese. If yeah, kanji radicals, 214 radicals if you learn Japanese. If you learn Chinese, you learn 214 Chinese radicals. I was wondering if I'm going to learn them, should I just learn the English meaning, or both Chinese and English meaning? Don't learn Chinese pronunciation, because Chinese pronunciation is learn English meaning and their position in the character. So, for example, fire, it looks different when it's on the bottom. It looks like four dots, and when it's on the left of the character, it looks a different way, right? So learn the position and just the translation to English, only English meaning only, because there are a lot of pronunciations of radicals in Chinese that are not very used in real life. Dude, there is LeBron James in my chat. Is it very LeBron James? Is it real LeBron James? Okay, I'm single. If anyone want to learn Spanish, said Julian Acosta Bellucci. Yes. So Radu Nicole Trascalie said small amounts of quality learning is always better than a bulk of not effective. Exactly. You can be like stuck with Duolingo for ages, without any results. I have a okay. Uh, so yeah, somebody asked about sign-up process. So what happens is that you hop on the call with Brianna, and but before you do that, by the way, there is a whole process before that. So if you decide to click the link down below if you want to apply, but if you want to do that, this is what you do. So you apply, you get the notification, and then you send the word confirm, because you confirm the time, the call. We have a lot of people, and if people don't show up, we have a wasted time. You need to understand that, right? So you fill out the form, you show up to the call, they tell you about the program that you're interested in, and just tell them also the time when you apply, that you apply during this time, because I close it. And also they will let you know the time of classes if it doesn't work for you. And unfortunately for Chinese now, I cannot um accept if the time works doesn't work for you, because we already set time for that particular group. This live stream is not just about any kind of program, it's about particular group, particular time. So Charja. So yeah, that's the thing. So before you come to a call, you'll come to a page. You'll see the page where you see the testimonials of my clients who already went through the program, either Chinese or Korean, and you can hear their story, how they say it. You know, some people actually, fun enough, become fluent in Chinese after like a while after graduating from my program. It's not like just fluent. Like some stories I have, it's kind of interesting to see. I definitely have to have some live calls with them. But yeah, so you prepare for the call, and then you're on the call, and then you're just like, oh, here's the program, so here's how it looks like, here's the pricing, here's what you do. And then once you enroll, and don't if you don't enroll, it's okay. You can just see how it works, in the future. Some people, I have a crazy story. Actually, I like it so much. This is why I'm so confident that in what I'm doing changes lives. I have a guy who didn't enroll to my program 2 years ago, and I said, "Listen, man," because I was myself. It's right now it's Brianna on the call. Back then, it was me only. And I said, "Listen, man, I'll just give you free advice, because I think you seem to be a pretty legitimate dude. Let me just give you advice. Just do this, and this, and you'll reach this level." So he actually did that for a couple of years and reached a certain level in Korean and enrolled into my program. So that's why I'm giving you free advice, is because I know that if you apply it, it will work for you and you'll come back. This is what I do myself when I learn from somebody. I apply what they do, what they taught me. I was learning. If you guys know Ty Lopez, I was learning directly. I've been learning directly from him, and he's been my mentor. And I took one of his mentorship programs, and I got back to it because it worked for me. So this is the thing. I myself, I'm still a student of a lot of people, of a lot of programs. So this is why I'm saying that. And yeah, so basically, and once you enroll, you go through one-on-one onboarding with me together. Somebody said again, I feel like I should pay for this advice. You shouldn't. So you enroll for you got onboarding email, and all the courses I share with you, like all the library. I give you the homework, then you have a one-on-one onboarding with me. Then I schedule for the group. If it's Chinese, you get WeChat. You can download WeChat and VOV app, and you start with the teachers with two different subjects: comprehensive Chinese and spoken Chinese, and you start learning Chinese only in Chinese. That's the thing. That's how it works. Somebody will enroll, somebody won't. Most people won't, somebody will. Okay, I will stop advertising my own program here. I'll also answer a couple of questions. I think we'll already get, maybe you already got one person, so I think it will not make any sense. So any textbook or the resource recommendation for intermediate Japanese around N3. Yeah, man. So you need to do this one. It's the best. Quartet Japanese. I'm learning it now. I'm on page 40 or 50. I'm learning with a teacher. I'm kind of having classes the best because yeah, I have classes only learning Japanese in Japanese. Guess what? I practice what I preach, man. Every single thing I said on this live stream, I used by myself. I'm not bullshitting you, promoting some shit, right? Some shitty app that sponsored me or some shitty fucking whatever. I'm doing my own thing. Every single thing I'm promoting, I created by myself. There was only one ad on my channel was ExpressVPN. This is only ad on my channel, ExpressVPN, and they're really kind, and I like just working with them. And I think this will be probably my last ad and the first ad. I never did anything. I have people reaching out like, "Hey, yo, promote our thing." I'm like, "Who the hell are you, bro?" Yeah. So this is intermediate Japanese and three men Finnish quartet one, quartet two. I actually need to go to sleep now. I have a lot of good comments here. That's why I'm not leaving. I learned simplified traditional care. If I learn simplified or traditional characters, would you be able to read both of them? If I mean just by learning, use simplified because traditional are used only in a limited way, and you'll be able if you have a situations when you have to read traditional, you'll be able to guess after a while. Like if I type "zhe" like or "ta," I think doesn't have a "zhe" for example in traditional like "zhe" the "zhe." In traditional and in simplified, it looks similar. Do you plan to add Vietnamese classes to your program? I did Vietnamese mentorship, so I can't speak Vietnamese. I didn't learn, but I was helping a business guy to learn Vietnamese, and it helped him. So I have like this. I had this general program before. I don't have teachers for like myself. I don't have in-house teachers for Vietnamese. So that's normally the restraint that I get is that uh great people is always hard to find. So that's the thing. But fortunately, through what I'm doing, I can meet good people. I can get recommended. Some people can give me recommendations for good people, and this is how things get started. But Vietnamese wouldn't have it now. Yeah, somebody said, is it wise to move to Russia in the current political climate? I know to speak Russian. I mean, I don't know, man. I am not kind of authority to give advice on that. Uh, what's the most important thing you would tell to 18-year-old self and why? I would say it depends on what you want to achieve. Because if you ask me, in terms of just living a life of your dreams and just here's the thing, try to get try to get as much money as you can, working somewhere part-time, getting scholarships or whatever you can do. That's the first thing. And the second thing, go to a person who has what you want to get in life and try to buy their at least like video course and try to use and then upgrade to like mentorship or actual programs. So you can do it in different things. For example, you can buy language, you can go to language school and buy the language courses at the beginning. This is what I recommend to do. This is what I myself have been doing for years. You can go to, if you want to get good at business, go to some business person that you like and take their programs. It's the best thing that you can get. And it's really, everything is really hard. Even if you take a program, it's not like you have get the elevator to from like point 0 to like 100. It's not a guarantee. but you need to take multiple programs like this, and you'll be still like failing to get success, sort of speaking. So but those programs will ultimately, you'll look back and you'll realize they caught like years of your learning curve. But it's not as easy as it sounds. But it's like, it's almost as if when taking some kind of program, you get a chance. At least you get like a benefit of the doubt from destiny. You get a chance. It's like you're bold enough and you're brave enough to get a chance. But if you don't take those programs and if you just try to grind it out only by yourself, it's kind of hard, because you either have to have some mentor, like some father or some big figure in your life, or some very beneficial circumstances that would make those courses, classes, or mentorship programs, or other like educational resources, um, not as valuable as the thing that you're doing. You see what I mean? It's like, for example, like, I don't know whether it's a good example now, but Trump had a dad who was already a millionaire, and he gave him $1 million, right? So Trump wouldn't have to go to like some business class or like business mentorship or whatever, because he was already inside the thing. But me myself, I wasn't like, I only had I wouldn't say uncle, I don't know how to say it in English. It's like my mother's sister's husband. He was already fluent in Chinese, and I kind of learned some things from him. But one of the things I learned is like, you need to either go to China, or you need to take classes. Like it's like, just see what people, also just see what people who are where you want to be did, and try to replicate what they did. Right. That's basically the shortest answer. But that's a good question. I mean, when I was 18 years old, I was really doing just completely different thing from what I'm doing now. I wanted to become a stock trader. I was really disappointed. Boy, one thing, there was a thing I was reading about. I wanted to become a stock trader. And I wanted to become like a yeah, I wanted to trade stocks. Just like was my dream. I was reading books about investment and then economics. It was my major and like everything, and hobby and everything. And then and I was learning English very hard during that time, by the way. But the thing that I was kind of disappointed with is that in stock trading there was this thing coming out called high frequency trading, when you would install like a big ass computer close to like some terminal, and like the slightest change in prices would like those like robots would just trade and like get millions of dollars. So it wasn't about knowledge as much as it was about inside information and just technical savvy, or like those robots and stuff. And I realized I was like completely disappointed. My first dream was to become a stock trader, like a famous big stock trader, like Soros or something. I don't know, like person who just like goes to the market and like buys some stock and like gets successful. It was kind of funny. But yeah, it was kind of interesting because I read a lot of books on investments. Not a lot of books I read, I'll just say, because you cannot read a lot. There is a the book was real the book I was reading was is called Investments. Actually, it's called Investments or Investment. But it's like the most famous book on investments. It's really thick and it's really hard. It's a textbook. So it took me, I was reading it for like 2 years. I read a couple economics books. It's enough to get really good in those fields, by the way. You can read a couple textbooks in pretty much any field. And this is, by the way, was I like once I was kind of inspired with my method, like once I kind of discovered my method, uh it really just comes down to just good textbooks, guys. Like like when I'm talking about the information input, not talking about the whole immersion thing, but just information, it really comes down to good textbooks. Good textbooks is good. I have two textbooks on the table. I like I said, I'm practicing what I'm preaching, like Quartet one and this one, like Chinese. All right. All right, guys. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining. See you next time. See you next time.